Evening, people. We are back with another match review. So I've got the lovely Stu from the disabled team, lovely Evie, of course, down at the bottom on the Discourse of Peacocks channel coming very soon, we hope. So us three, we're just going to get into a bit of chat on Leeds United, our opinions, thoughts on the game, get into a bit of transfer news, and a little bit of other news that's floating around. So first of all, Stu, how are you doing, mate?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. Jess. Yeah, I'm really well. Thank you. How are you?
I'm really good, mate. I'm really good. Evie,
Good.
you all right, mate?
Yeah, not too bad for a Monday. Not too bad.
So first of all, we gets to 2 o'clock. We'll look at team sheet. What's everybody's thoughts on that team sheet? Starting 11. Surprises for you, Stu?
No, not really. No, I would have liked to have seen Clarkson start, but from the press conference, we knew Latmesley were going to start. I'm glad he started Bamford and not Perot. I was worried about that. But no, overall, I was happy with team sheet, Jess. I really was.
Evie?
Yeah, I thought it was great. I thought that Melier probably, because he's been playing throughout the season, deserved to come straight back in. That's not a diss at Class, and it's just he's the one who's had the most time within the system. And I think obviously with having, no Strauch, no Byram, Archie Gray, there's only really Rodon who has been in the back four for pretty much the entire season. So I think it was the right decision to put Melier back in. Not that he had much to do, but yeah, I still think that it was the right choice. And yeah, I agree with you, Stu. I was glad to see Bamford back in because I just think, it showed really quickly that they were going for a mid to low block, and with Pirro on the pitch, he just and with Rutter playing up front, we don't do the whole breaking down of teams very well, whereas Bamford seems to, his off the ball work has never stopped.
Yeah.
Obviously the goals dried up, but his off the ball, techniques and occupying defenders has never stopped. That's always been his main. Even when he hasn't been scoring, we've always looked a better team when he was on the pitch, which was probably one of the most infuriating things about him. Because if he did have the goals in him earlier on or last season, then maybe we aren't in the championship. But I'm not blaming fully Bamford. I'm just saying that we do play better when we have a focal point, not necessarily going forward. I still think we need a replacement. But yeah, I was happy with the lineup. I was interested to see Ampadu in the back four again. I didn't know how it was going to work, when we actually came up against the championship side and not a League One side. But I thought he did great.
Yeah, I mean, Stu sent me team sheet at 2 o'clock, and I looked at it, and I was really, really happy to see Patrick Bamford up front because I had a sneaky feeling he'd bring Perot back, and I thought for some reason, I didn't think he'd start Bamford, so I was really happy to see that. And Ampadu did a really good job at centre back, but one player that comes for me is not played a lot of minutes, bided his time, Gruev. What a
Brilliant.
game! What a game he had. To say,
Absolutely
we
outstanding.
we haven't seen much of him, have we? So, some players can come into a team after not playing a minute and fail, and it's hard now for Farke because if Pascal Strout comes back in, I wouldn't like to see Gruev dropped. I really thought it was his best game for Leeds United the other day. I really did. It was refreshing to see. Nice. Big up to him, big up to him. What are your thoughts in
Yeah,
game in general, Evie?
I thought that we dominated. I still don't think that we played our best, and I think that that's probably for the last three games. But that's the same as what Leicester have been doing all season. They haven't been playing the most attractive football, but they've got the job done. I do think our football was prettier than Leicester's have been, but we've just been we've done what we needed to do, and we were even wasteful in the last couple of games. We could have had a lot more goals, but
Mm.
we've managed to come through it unscathed. Obviously, 3 back-to-back clean sheets if you include the cup game as well. That's brilliant. And yeah, I thought we did really well. Gruev was my man of the match. I thought he was absolutely fantastic, and he just showed great sportsmanship in the fact that, you know, he's such a team player. He hasn't gone out and caused a fuss or demanded a move or caused, called Farke's management style into question. He's just gone along, playing, supporting the team, and then he's had his opportunity the last couple of games to really shine, and I really like him. He's got a lovely pass on him as well. Some, passes that we haven't really seen from a midfielder since Phillips. So it was brilliant, to see. And now if Ampadu, obviously touch wood, fingers crossed, all of that, he doesn't get injured or anything, but I still feel comfortable if he had an emergency or whatever, that we wouldn't just crumble. Whereas before the last couple of games, he would probably be the person, if he was out of the team, other than Rodon, that I would panic the most if Ampadu wasn't in the team. Whereas now, if we need to, if he is feeling a little kind of, a bit tight or whatever, hi Paul, then we can afford to rest him for, maybe half a game, maybe a full game, because we've got that option to bring Gruev in, and Gruev and Kamara did a brilliant job together, and as did Gruev and Gray when they were in midfield in the cup game as well. So yeah, it feels strange having midfielders who can do midfieldy things. It's been quite rare for us over the last few seasons. So it's it's something that's a bit foreign, but I could get quite used to feeling like that.
Stu?
It's a nice way of putting it, isn't it? Yeah, I'm pleased for Gurev. I really am pleased for him. I think, like Evie says, he's had to be patient. He's had to be really patient. He's gone about it professionally. He's waited for his chance. He's got his chance. He's sent a message to Farke saying, "Look, I can, you can rely, you can trust me, you can rely on me." And I think that's got to be a good thing. It's got to be a good thing going forward.
Absolutely. Totally agree. Couldn't have put it better myself, Stu. I don't know if Cardiff's performance were worse than Birmingham's for me, because I expected quite a hard game going away to Cardiff. Seemed to be a little bit of our bogey team, and they didn't offer a lot at all. I think maybe one shot on target all game. They were not
Yeah, I
much.
think so.
Leeds were very controlled. At times, Julia Firpo did get catched out for me. First 20, 25 minutes, there were 3 or 4 runs. He's so good going forward, but for defending for me, he sometimes goes a little bit missing. Second half were a much better performance, but it were more of a flat performance in second half for me. We'd done our job really in first half. It had more or less not the wind out of Cardiff sails. But the main thing is three games, 3 points, 3 clean sheets, and 3 goals. You can't ask for any more. Teams are starting to stutter round us. If we concentrate on our business till the rest of the season, don't worry about what anybody else is doing. It's still doable. We can still get that top 2. So for me,
Yeah.
it was a very professional performance, if anything. Next one.
No,
Is Patrick
I
Bamford back?
fully agree.
Do you agree?
Yeah. I just we did what we needed to do. We didn't, we weren't flashy. We weren't trying to show off. We weren't, we just did it. It was still entertaining. And like you said, it's been a bogey team for, a long time now. So, and that kind of doesn't matter what league they're in, doesn't matter what league we've been in, they've still been a bogey team for us. So the fact that we were just, I don't know, they just look, especially at the end of the first half, the defenders looked as if they just wanted to get straight back on the bus and go home. Kind of thing, they didn't look like they were just flapping at decisions. And I think the Rutter goal, obviously the lead up to it, where the 2 players take themselves out and then Dan James picks the ball off and carries on the run. I think that kind of sums up how the game felt for all of us. We just managed to ride our luck. They managed to help us kind of by just taking themselves out of the equation. And I think that's, you know, you can only beat the team that's in front of you. So for as much as people are like, oh, Cardiff are poor, well, no, they're not that far off playoffs. So they're not too, you know, kind of poor. They're better than Birmingham by a long shot, but we made Ipswich look poor, and you wouldn't say they're a poor team, but they were poor on the day against us. So, you know, Cardiff are a good team, you know, a good championship team, and, you know, we should have been doing these kind of results to the teams, you know, a few months ago. You know, we should have had lots more of these results, because, you know, Cardiff are no better than, you know, than Sunderland, or they're no better or worse than Stoke. You know, all these games that, you know, if we'd have just tweaked things a little bit, then we can, you know, we can get these results. And it gives me, as well, what gives me positivity is the fact that now going forward, most of our, like, the toughest away fixtures have already been done. So we've already kind of, even though we haven't always got the results out of them, they're out of the way, you know. So we've got a lot of on paper easier away games now than we did do before. So I think, you know, we've got real positivity. Obviously, you know, we've got all the teams that we've kind of failed or dropped points away from home, they've all got to come to Ellen Road now. So, you know, and that's why we really need to take that home advantage to the next level, kind of thing.
Stu?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think, you know, people said that we dropped too many points. I'm thinking Sheffield Wednesday at home. And we need to make sure this second half of the season we correct the wrong with the right, if you know what I mean. We've got a chance in the second half of the season to put right what we did wrong in the first half of the season. And I think if we can do that, we'll be there or thereabouts. I really do believe that. I think we can be there or thereabouts come end of season.
You're right, Hermione. Yeah. Look, me, I totally agree with what you both say. If things had been a little bit different, you know, we had a really poor August. We can write that one off. We have dropped points, but hopefully now I think we'll see a different Leeds end of the season. They know what they need to do. We just need that little bit more, and he's give that now. He's changed it. He's been proven that being stubborn and always worked for him, and he has changed it. And it must hurt him because he wanted Perot, and it just ain't quite worked at the minute for Perot. So it is time for Bamford. You know, he's stepped up and he's done a job for 3 games. He has, you know, and hopefully it's got the confidence back for him. But is Paddy Bamford back? Evie?
Oh, I don't want to talk about it too loudly, just in case his ankles get injured hearing any sort of positivity coming about him. But I think now that he's got his scoring boots on, the only person that can get in his way is himself and his own injury record. Because for me, we can't stand still. We can't carry people anymore. And even though I have always said that Bamford should have been replaced 3 seasons ago, not directly replaced, but had somebody of his same profile on the bench waiting, competing for his position. And the problem is we haven't had that in 3 seasons. He has still been the most effective striker in terms of his pressing style. We play better when he is on the pitch. It doesn't mean he can score. It just means that we as a team play better when he is on the pitch, which has been so infuriating, because I just hope that he can keep that fitness. I hope he doesn't get complacent. And obviously, I'm not doubting the man's sincerity when it comes to his injuries. But when he's had competition, he seems to be able to stay fitter for longer. When he's the main man, his injuries seem to creep up more frequently. And I would hate to actually think, I would hope that that's more of a coincidence than a sense of kind of, oh, well, I'm here. They're not getting rid of me. I'm the main guy. You know, this, that, and the other. I would hope that that's not, and that I'm just being a little cynical. because, you know, we've had it happen so many transfer windows now where he's been playing brilliantly, and then on the first day after the transfer window closes, he gets injured, and we've not bought anybody or loaned anybody to, you know, have competition for that place. And Pirro, I still think can be effective. I would play Pirro in games where a team's going to come and attack us, because I still think he knows where the back of the net is.
Yeah.
But I think Bamford offers us more when we need to be more direct and fast, and we need defenders to kind of fall over themselves, like, you know, like Cardiff did. But Bamford is the only person in my eyes that can get in the way of Bamford. If he stays fit, I think he starts. I think he's done enough so far to keep his place. If he gets injured, then we have to have somebody who can fit in that mold, whether it's Pirro, whether it's Joseph, you know, whether it's a new person that they might bring in. You know, I still think that we need that pressing, and unless Farke can admit that Pirro is more of a 9 than he is a 10, Pirro doesn't have that pressing ability. I'm not saying he could never have it, but right now he doesn't have it. And I don't know whether we have time to actually get him. You know, we don't have a pre-season now. We're in the middle of the season. So it is quite hard to get people to change the way that they play mid-season kind of thing. So I think he's back with the caveat of injuries.
Stu, Anna made a really good point earlier. Is he a confidence player, Patrick Bamford?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I still think he's wasteful with his chances, though. I mean, I've defended Patrick Bamford, I really have, but I think Perot is more clinical. You know, when he gets the chance, the problem is it's getting the problem of it is getting Perot in them areas for him to create the chance. But it's a shame you can't take Perot's feet and put them on Bamford, because I think then you've got the perfect striker. I really do. You know what I mean? But I do. I think I've always said that. You know, Bamford's he's got the best movement we've got as a striker, but his injury record is a problem. I think he's back confidence wise, but not back. I don't think I can say is injury free. I can't say that yet.
Yeah, no. For me, he offers that little bit more durability with Leeds, because you can. He's a menace. I mean, he menaced those centre backs, and he made life so hard. His movement, you know, his control's decent. I mean, he was very, very unselfish for that third goal for me. If
Yeah.
Patrick Bamford wouldn't have scored in the last 3 games, he'd have took that on. I guarantee he'd have took that on, but he didn't. He knew Ruta were in a better position and thought, "Do you know what? No, you have that," and that were good to see. That team, I like that. I like that about
Yeah.
him.
Yeah,
And yeah, granted, he
100%.
could have had 3
yeah,
goals.
yeah.
He could
In
Yeah,
have
the
had an
he
first
should
half.
absolute
he should have
20
done.
minutes, And if we could just get him a little bit more clinical, you've got a real asset there with him for the rest of the season. And if we can keep him fit, it could be the difference between automatics and playoffs. I do believe that. I think if we can get him back to his best, we look better team with him in it.
Yeah.
Dan James seems to thrive when he's in team for the last 3 games. I mean, he worked really hard, Dan James, on Saturday. Really did play very well, but they all did. So for me, hopefully, fingers crossed, he stays fit. That is the only really issue I have with him. I just want to get your thoughts, you two, on Junior Firpo, because he seems to divide opinions a bit like Paddy Bamford does, and I just want to get your two's take on it, Stu.
Brilliant going forward. Absolutely fantastic. Not a problem. Not one concern. But defensively, very concerning. I just don't think he's got it defensively. He, I was speaking to Danny Rumsey about this, and he reminds me of not like for like equality, but Trent Alexander-Arnold, brilliant going forward, but can't defend for Toffee, and I think that's Firpo's biggest problem. It's his tracking back. It's his. How many times did he get beat in that first 15 minutes? 3 times. He didn't even attempt to put a block on, a boot into block ball. He just let it go, and I thought, that's don't fill you with confidence.
No, Evie.
No, I pretty much agree with everything Stu's just said. I think the main difference as well between him and Trent is the fact that Trent still has that recovery speed. He may not get his positioning right, but he can still get back. Whereas it really looked like every time Firpo lost the ball high up the pitch, I was scared because of the fact that I know he doesn't have that recovery pace, whereas Byram does. Byram is pretty fast for obviously he's 30 now, but he's still pretty fast. And he's not very good positionally aware either, and I think that's probably why he's not putting a boot in, because we saw in the first season, especially when he came to us, he got more, he got so many yellow cards. It was amazing that he never got a red in that season, because he got, for the amount of minutes that he actually played, he got, well, I think it was over 6 yellow cards. I can't be 100% sure, but for the amount of minutes that he played, he got a high number of yellows. And I think that as well, some of them, if you see them at pace, they may get done as red cards as well, because I do think he has he just has a fondness of kind of going in because it's too late. You've not tracked back, you're not positionally aware. If you're having to put a late boot in, you're likely to give away a dodgy free kick in a really bad area to defend. So he's fantastic going forward. I love watching him go forward, because having a left-footed left back opens up so many more options than having Byram. If Byram was two-footed, Byram would be utterly perfect for left back, and I would play him over Firpo in no matter what game. Whereas I think if we have games where we know we're not going to be as defensively tested, like the Cardiff game, then you can afford to play him. But if we're going up against Southampton, Leicester, probably Middlesbrough, those teams in and around the playoff area, then I wouldn't want Firpo on the pitch, because he doesn't have that recovery pace. But he just gives you so many more options. And also, I know it was offside, but the ball, I think it was either from Gruev or Rodon. I'm sure it was Gruev. The ball where he headed it to Bamford, and I think Bamford was just offside. I think he hit it wide anyway, but that was wonderful. Like, he just seems to be really coming on each kind of game that he plays. He's offering more and more, and it isn't not making him undroppable, but it's certainly giving him a hell of a lot more chance to be picked than probably the previous 2 seasons. Every time I saw him on the team sheet, I would groan and roll my eyes and be panicked of how many goals were going to come down that left-hand side. Whereas I'm so confident in our midfield now that they can cover him, and that's something that we've not had. We've not had a solid midfield that can protect Firpo from himself, whereas now we've got a good midfield. So it does allow Firpo to go forward. But yeah, he's a mystery, isn't he, in the fact of what is he, because he's left-footed, but he isn't a defender. He's more of like, and he definitely is a wing back, not a full back. And that's the issue, is we need to have a solid midfield that can slot into defence when we play him. And if we do have an injured midfield and an available Byram, then we play Byram, because you can't risk having Firpo at left back, in my opinion, if our midfield isn't solid.
Yeah, I agree. I think Sam Byron probably starts over Firpo for me if he stays fit. He's useful to have around bench, but I feel nervous when he plays sometimes. I'd rather have him as a winger and drop the left back. I think it'd make more sense for him. But when you your position's a left back and you see him, and he's brilliant going forward, no problem. But that defensive frailty there worries me. Against better opposition, it can be different. So I'd rather you change position and go as a winger, because you do actually a better job at that.
don't you
Yeah, yeah.
think that he could make, when Farker has this, when it's 0-0 or we're losing in a game and he shoves on six like forward players, I would put Firpo on. Like, because I think he creates so much with that left foot of the crossing options into the box. The problem when you put all of the strikers on is that there's nobody to kind of feed them the ball because they are waiting for the ball, and there's not that creativity when you've got all of the forwards, whereas I think Firpo gives you something from outside of the box. He takes quite a good free kick outside of the box as well. Like he just offers quite a lot. I would put him on, if you're making those changes kind of thing. I think he actually attack wise makes a lot more sense than putting 6 pure attacking players, because you've got nobody who can feed the ball through to the attacking players because they're all pressing up the pitch kind of thing.
I mean, this is really interesting what Anna's saying here. I can't draw myself to Firpo. He acknowledges the fans very little when I sit at Ellen Road. He's so distant every time, but he gives Farky options. Just struggle to see past that weekly at games. I think this lady goes to a lot of Leeds United games, to be quite honest. Home and away, I think Anna goes to. So that's quite weird, isn't it? That they don't really bother with fans.
I think some players are like that, though, aren't they? I mean, I'll give you a prime example. Palmer for Chelsea ran straight down. It's final whistle went. He ran straight down tunnel. Against Middlesbrough Cup.
Yeah.
He ran straight down the tunnel, whereas his teammates went over to away fans. Some players just don't feel comfortable and confident. I mean, I'm not being funny, but with Leeds fans, sometimes I wouldn't want to go near them. If I were a player, if I'm honest, I wouldn't. If it wasn't going right, I wouldn't want to go anywhere near them.
True.
I think that he's had quite a tough time at Leeds. I think he's not really ever. Which I'm not saying we're to blame here either. I'm just saying that he's not been fantastic, and he hasn't been available. We've only seen him kind of really offer anything, 3 or 4 games last season, scoring a goal against a pretty much already relegated Southampton. And then obviously he went off injured a couple of games after. So we haven't really seen anything for us to be over the moon, with his performances. So maybe he still kind of feels that, in the fact of he's only just starting to repay us for a wage that he's been taking, and has really offered very little to actually justify his wage. So maybe he just feels a little bit
Unloved.
uncomfortable. Yeah, and maybe as well it might be maybe they don't do that as much in Spain. I've got to admit, I don't watch a lot of La Liga, so I'm not quite sure 100% of what goes on after a game in Spain kind of thing. And obviously there's a language barrier, a cultural change, the fact that he's not been available or not been very good. Maybe he just doesn't feel like he is the player. Defenders often don't, kind of thing, unless you've saved a last minute goal. It's always usually the midfielders and attacking players that really go and celebrate with the crowd. So maybe he just feels like it's not his place. I'm trying to judge him by it, him being a decent human being, because he always comes across it. Whenever I've seen him interviewed, he always comes across really well. I'm not doubting his English. I'm just doubting, where the cultural differences kind of thing. But yeah, just maybe I would hope that it's more of he doesn't feel that he needs to do that, because the Leeds fans would rather celebrate with the goal scorers than the defender kind of thing. But
I agree with that.
Yeah,
he might just not be nice. He might just not like us. But I hope that that's not the case, and that it just he feels maybe a bit humble kind of thing, and doesn't feel that that's his job to go and cheer and celebrate necessarily. He can celebrate with his teammates rather than us.
Yeah, no, that's spot on. I mean, another player for me that stands out this season, not just all at season for me, is Ethan Ampadu. How good has this boy been? He really has. He's been exceptional. You can play him anywhere and he does a job. And do you know what? For me, he's been my player at season, Ethan Ampadu. Really has. Like him a lot. I like to see him, come out as captain of the day. Were really nice. What about you, Stu? What do you think of Ethan Ampadu?
Yeah, do you know what I think's helped Ethan Ampadu? Remember when we were playing in 3 games and he started to look very tired, but then we had that week off. We had that 7-day break, and I think that 7-day break recharged his batteries. Definitely, I think he needed it because I thought he was looking a bit leggy, if I'm honest.
Mm-hmm.
In a few, I think it were 2 or 3 games previous. I thought he was looking a bit leggy, but that he seems to have got a second wind, and he seems to be, you know, he can play anywhere we need him to play. A bit like it's the new. I know it sounds awful, but it's the new Stuart Ellis of Leeds, isn't he? You know what I mean? He can play midfield. He can play him as centre back. I'm happy for him.
Evie?
Yeah, I think he's just been brilliant. He's I think that the 49ers did a really good job at just getting the most needed players for that position. They're not the glamorous signings, not these, extraordinary kind of foreign players. And I'm not having a dig at foreign players, but obviously we haven't had a lot of kind of British players play for us over the last, couple of seasons. They've been from far and wide, and unfortunately that loyalty has been lost in translation, partially because of that. And I do think that, Ampadu, because he's kind of been passed from pillar to post, on loan everywhere, I think it's kind of, he feels at home. And I think, he's got such a fantastic name to sing as well, that, I think we've welcomed him, he's welcomed us, he hasn't really let us down. There's very few occasions where, yeah, he's looked a bit leggy, but he's never really done anything to the point
Wrong.
where you can pinpoint that was the reason we lost that game, kind of thing. And I think that's a really good thing, and a very rare thing to say about a player so quickly as well. I really hope that we go up, and I really hope that even if we don't, he stays with us, and I think he will. But he's better than the championship. He really is. I think, he would walk into most kind of lower half Premier League teams, no questions asked. He's just effective at what he does. He does have a good pass on him when needed as well, and he just makes you feel safe, and that's why, until obviously the last couple of times seeing Gruev, I was so concerned, because Ampadu just makes me feel safe. And if we lost him, I would panic. Whereas now that we know that Gruev can do a really good job, and probably progresses the ball a little bit more forward than Ampadu does. I think Ampadu usually relies on Strauch to kind of push the ball forward, and he ends up going back to cover Strauch. But I just really think that Ampadu is just, I don't know, a real credit to the recruitment, a credit to himself, and a credit to Farker as well. And he's like this new the new version of Phillips, in the sense of another different type of player,
Yeah.
but just as, we rely on him, and he, you just never get a sense that he causes any trouble. He just gets on, does his job, and is happy for everybody else as well. There's so many times where I think he's been overlooked for, man of the match kind of thing. But it's just because he just does, he always gives you a, 7.5 performance every time, that you can get maybe a little bit overlooked. So yeah, he just makes me feel very safe, and not many players in the last few seasons have made me feel like that. So it's a reassuring feeling.
No, I totally agree. And Chelsea let him go for a sniff and bought all
I
those.
know, and they
Didn't you
bought
laugh?
Caicedo and stuff. They spent
They had
like
him ready.
100 million.
They had
Oh
him ready made
God.
and let him go because he'd have
Yeah.
done a stellar job in that team, because Chelsea struggle. I mean, me and Stu did watch along for Middlesbrough game against Chelsea, and they were so poor. And
Yeah.
we worked it out. I think me and Stu worked out. It were like 900 and something worth a million talent for Chelsea, and Middlesbrough squad were worth something like £65 million. And you think you let Ethan Ampadu go, and you had him ready made there. So for us, yeah, brilliant. We're rubbing his hands now, because what a player we've got on with him. He's a credit to Leeds United. He really is a good player. I really do
Yeah.
rate him. And another one, Rodon. How good's this guy been this season as well?
Love him.
Don't fall in love with lone players, guys. Don't do it.
Do you think he stays?
It's only if we get promoted. He's too good for the Championship. He makes it look like a walk in the park, and that won't have gone unnoticed. In fact, I've been watching a lot of like Spurs stuff, and so many people are like, oh my God, how has he not been given a chance to show himself? You know, why have we kept Dyer for so long when we've had Rodon available to us instead, kind of thing. And I just, yeah, I just really would like, I would like us to keep him, and this is why we have to get promoted, because we don't keep him if we don't get promoted, because even though he's only got 1 year left, we couldn't afford him, you know, if we don't get promoted, because we'll have to look at profit and sustainability ourselves, and we can't afford to buy what Daniel Levy will want for him. You know, especially when you consider that we'd have to sell Rutter and Summerville probably if we don't go up. So yeah, I just think he's wonderful, and I really didn't want to like him. I don't want to love lone players. It's not a nice feeling when you don't have the certainty. You know, it's bad enough when you think we might lose Summerville and Rutter, and they, we own those players, but we don't even own Rodon. And I already am, I'll be absolutely devastated if we don't keep him, because he just protects that back four. We haven't had a defender like him for such a long time. He's not as good as Ben White, but that was probably the last time we had a defender who was just so efficient at what he did. So, yeah, I love him, but he's not very good. If anybody else is watching, you don't want to risk it. Don't buy him. Just Leeds will have him. It's fine. We'll accept Rodon. Please don't buy Rodon. Let us buy him instead.
I was going to say, Evie, you mentioned his name, but do you feel like we will have a Ben White situation again? Where we saw, Ben White, we know how good he was. We tried to get him. We tried desperately hard to get him. And, so, Brighton just wouldn't let us. I don't know where Evie's gone. She's gone. Don't know where Jess has gone, but I think
just me and you, Stu.
Don't worry, I mean, you'll be all right. We can look forward for the Do you think, though, Evie, that other Premier League clubs will be sniffing around him, even if we do get promoted?
Yeah, I do think that. I do think that they will, but I think that he'll be in. If I think I'm correct, I think he'll be in the last year of his contract, and we've seen ourselves what players the power is in the players' hands when they're less than a year left, and I think that if the 49ers will offer competitive wages, I don't think that'll be an issue. And I think that he'll if Farker still remains manager and we get promoted, he knows that he'll be a starter. So I don't think he might not be a starter for other. He might have to prove himself, where he'll have already had a season of proving himself for Farker. So I think that we would keep him, and I think he would come to us if because I just think player power at that point. I think the 49ers are competitive in terms of their negotiation skills, and I know that Daniel Levy is a notorious so-and-so when it comes to sales and negotiations and everything, but I think we'd have. I'm more confident that we would keep him with the 49ers than if we still had Rads. I think we don't get him if we've got Rads, because I think Rads was scared of the Premier League, if I'm honest. And so was Victor Orta. I just don't think that they had the kind of the guts to dig their feet in. I think they very much thought that Leeds was still a Championship club even when we were in the Premier League. And we just got walked all over. But I don't think the 49ers would allow that.
I agree. I agree. Marcus asked a question as well. Sorry for taking over, just but you were missing. He asked a question a while ago. Do you guys think that Cooper leaves this month?
I personally don't see him going this month. Not till end of season, but I think that's him
Yeah,
done.
I think end of season.
I think that's him done. They can't afford to let him go as well. We ain't hardly got any centre backs, is it? Is it be criminal to let him go?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it would.
But end of season, has he done enough to win a year deal for you guys? Or is it the right time to go?
Right time to go for me. I
Yeah,
hate to say it, but
I agree.
we need to move on. We need to move on, Evie, don't we? We're looking at the future. We've got new owners, new ownership, new way of going. I think a bit like Ayling, it's sad to see him go, but right time for him to go.
Yeah, unfortunately, as cruel as this sounds, a lot of these players should have been gone a couple of seasons ago. We should have sold them while the stock was higher, while they had more length on their contract, longevity in their legs. Now we're going to, let Ayling go for nothing. And I'm not saying that Ayling has repaid us more than we could ever hope. The best £200,000 the club has probably spent in, the last 20, 30 years. But, we're allowed to be sentimental. We're allowed to miss players. We're allowed to hope that they stay with us forever. But the reality is, we would all be complaining about it if those same players were the ones letting us down. And
yeah,
their heart has never let them down, but their legs and kind of footballing ability has. And I don't mean to sound a bit blunt and cruel, but if we have a better defence last season, if we have if Cooper over the last few seasons, look now, for instance, we're having to play Ampadu as centre back because Cooper, who's now a cover for Strauch, is injured. So you can't keep on giving people contracts and them not being available. Availability is almost as it. Yeah, it's just almost as important as actual skill. If you're not available, you could be the most talented player, on the planet. But if you're not available for 50% of the season, then what do you really offer? Because, you just have to be available. And Cooper hasn't been available. And then Ayling has been available, but has then gone down to third, fourth option at right back. So I'm glad that he was the one that got to choose to leave. And hopefully Cooper's played enough to be able to negotiate a good contract somewhere else in the summer. And, once they've done playing and they want to hang up their boots, I really hope they come back and have a role within Leeds. I really do. But I think it's the right time for the player to, for them to move on, and once they've done playing, then come back, come home, and have start a new career within Leeds United, no longer as a player, kind of thing. And you'd be, we know that they would be welcomed back. Everybody would love to have them back. The same as if Pablo, ever came back and decided he wanted to go into coaching. He would be, be loved. It'd be, oh God, could you imagine having, the promotion lot back in a coaching kind of capacity? It would just
like
be the stuff of.
Can you imagine? It'd be like that.
Yeah.
It really would.
It just be beautiful, but it would be beautiful off the pitch and not on the pitch. We wouldn't have to be getting cross at them on the pitch. And we were, regardless of how people say that Ayling still had a job to do, blah, blah, blah. We were all getting cross at him at the beginning of the season when he was getting just like we have a go at Firpo, saying Firpo's brilliant going forward but can't defend for toffee. And Ayling used to be able to defend, but his legs have gone, so he can't do those recovery runs anymore. So, you're allowed to be sentimental and miss the person, but I think the players they've done enough. They've been really good servants to the club. Let them leave and play out the rest of the career where there isn't as much pressure. There's a lot of pressure on these players right now. And I think Cooper stays till the end of the season because I do agree with a lot of what's been said about the whole the the kind of the guidance that the younger players may need. They need a captain, and not just, Struijk is still young in terms of player / his actual captaincy role. So I think that having Cooper there gives them that behind the scenes coaching that they will all need, and when things do get a bit negative, I think Cooper will be able to kind of drag them out of it. So I still think he has a job to do, and will have a job kind of to do on the pitch if absolutely necessary. But to be honest, I'd rather see Ampadu cover for Struijk now when necessary. I know that may sound a bit cruel, but I just think I just think he's a bit better and less, he doesn't panic me as much.
Look, for me, the guy's been an absolute loyal servant, Stu. You can't
Yeah,
knock
yeah.
him. And he can't afford to let him go in this window. He just can't. Ideally, I suppose if I were looking at it from Cooper's point of view, I'd really like to get at another club so that I've got maybe something to fall back on it somewhere. Because Topsy's got, 3 years left, would you say, playing-wise? No more than that. Maybe 2, 3 years. So, when he does go, he'll go with everybody's blessing. There's going to be no animosity there, is there? He's been loyal.
No.
He's done what he's needed to do. But unfortunately for me now, he's too static. Rodon has to do a lot of covering when he plays. A lot of covering.
I can see Cooper's role being a club ambassador in future years to come. I really can. I can see him being a club ambassador for Leeds. I really can.
Yeah, maybe. I think from my point of view on game, I just picked up on a few. Crysencio Summerville for me had a very quiet game, not to his usual standards. Anybody else pick up on that, Stu?
His first touch were a bit heavy. I don't know what were wrong with him. I don't know if I don't know if it was. I don't know. But yeah, his first touch wasn't the normal Crysencio Summerville's first touch. Ball were getting away from him a little bit. But look, he's entitled to having a bad. He's entitled to have a bad game. He's entitled to have a bad game. He's give us everything this season. So for me, I'm not going to hold that against him.
Evie?
I mean, I completely agree, but how incredible is he if you think that he's had a poor game and was still directly involved in all 3 goals, I said, the other day that he'd had, probably his poorest game for a long time, but you take him out and do those goals even end up happening, if he's not there on the pitch? So even though he didn't get a goal himself, he was still there, and that must be so frustrating as a bench player to think, he's not having a good game and I still can't get on because of the fact that he's still been involved in all 3 goals. And obviously I was gutted that he missed the penalty, but I knew he was going to, and I wasn't even bothered because he's got so much credit that nobody's even going to remember the fact that he missed that penalty. Whereas if Bamford had taken that ball, he'd have been back to square one again with a lot of the fans.
We said same, didn't we?
Yeah, and I just think that he scored it last time, so he was within every right to take the ball and to have that shot. But he's done so much for the team, even within that game, having a shaky game, and he did well defensively as well, which I actually think usually is his weakest point. So the fact that he defended well, the fact that he was still directly involved in all of the goals, I think that he can have a bad game, and if your bad game still ends up with you having a part to play in 3 goals, then wow, what a hell of a player you are, and what a hell of a future. If we don't go up, he's gone, because if he can have a bad game and still have 3 goal involvements, then imagine what he could do when he's fully on it, with a team around him playing to all of their strengths as well. He would sail into all mid-table teams in the Premier League, and he would probably start to knock on the door of some top 8 teams as well. I mean, no, I shouldn't say things like that. I mean, he's a terrible player. Nobody wants him. He might as well just stay the rest. No, geez, I need to stop.
We don't want anybody reeling us in and getting them.
No, definitely not.
No. Substitutions for me. Bit late. Stu, is any point bringing them on for 2 minutes?
No, not really. I mean, look, we were cruising in that game. Let's be honest. If it had made the changes when we were 2-0 up, give Bamford the rest and stuff like that, and you know, I could have understood it. But 90th minute, what's the point? You might as well just let them stay on.
That's what I thought. You Evie?
Yeah, I was hoping that as soon as Summerville kind of missed that penalty, he would be brought off. To be honest, I was asking for him to be brought off 60th minute, something like that. Just because he wasn't having a great game. The likelihood is we were still winning that game without that third goal. A third goal always makes you feel, job done kind of thing. But I just think that, we should be protecting players, and also if you does this fuel the fire of Nonto going if he's only coming on for a couple of minutes? Why not give him 30 minutes? He could play on his preferred left hand side, replace Summerville. I just think that we probably should have made substitutions for the fact of even to just protect players. Like, we need them, and now that we're through to the next round of the FA Cup, we've gone from having one game in a week to having 3 games in 7 days. So we're going to need that rotation, and we all have seen so far this season that it has not been a strength of Farke's, whereas I think that we could have afforded, who says that Nonto doesn't end up getting that, the assist for that, for Rutter's goal in the end. If he plays that left hand side and Dan James crosses that lovely ball again. But yeah, I just think that he should have brought them on sooner just to protect players. We know that the game was more or less won, so why not keep a happy camp and allow players to have more minutes? And that for me just fuels that little part of me that thinks maybe Nonto goes in this window, because he didn't look very happy when he came on. And would you really be happy when you've got nothing to do? They came on just, I don't even know why they came on. It was such, I don't know, a bit degrading almost, to come on for 2 minutes when, fair enough, coming on for 2 minutes when you say 3-2 up and you're just trying to waste a bit of time. But 3-0 up, Cardiff had 1 shot on target all game. They offered very little. Even if they did score, we were 3 goals up. Like, it didn't really matter. So I just think that more players need more minutes, either when we need to change the game or we know that we've won the game. Why risk players' legs in a game that we've already won? And also it just allows Summerville to stay on his toes, because as well, yes, he had a poor game by his standards, but also he needs to know that he can't, he's not irreplaceable as well. So if he's not playing his best game, we do have options on the bench. Whereas I think sometimes the players have been guilty of being a little bit complacent this season, because they know that they're going to play the next game regardless, because Farke trusts them.
Yeah, no, couldn't have put it better myself, mate, to be honest. Look, you're the man in the know with West Ham, Stu. Do you see Willie Nonto going there?
West Ham could do with him, but the problem is with David Moyes, David Moyes will he'll take about 5 or 6 weeks just to give him a chance. And by the time that happens, they'll have Paqueta back. Hopefully, Bowen will be back. Kudos should be back by then. So that in theory, they need him now, but they won't need him then. So unless they're willing to buy him to put him straight in, and Moyes has got intentions of putting him straight into the team, which he will go straight into the team if the 3 players are missing, because they are light up front. But I just don't know if Moyes will. I don't know if the Moyes will give him a chance to play. He might end up just being a bench warmer at West Ham as well.
Because there was that bit of a rumour floating with Johnson, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden now, Nottingham Forest have come in, Southampton have come in, a Spanish team
Real
have come in
Betis.
for him. That's it. So if you're looking at it from his point of view, he's going to look at it and say, well, I can get a better move. So Willie Gnonto could be left in a bit of a dilemma. I think maybe he might go back to Whitley. I don't know if he'll stay. I think, and then anyone, he's the one that you've got a big question mark over. Don't know about you, Evie.
The only thing is Italy don't have the money that we want for him. So
How much are we talking for Willie? About 20?
Yeah, I would say 20, and I would say adios to him, in all honesty, because he's only had one goal, I think, this season. So can you really expect more than that? You know, I think the club did the right thing in the summer, not giving in to his demands, and you know, because we didn't have to. It's not our fault that he had the only agent of all of the new players to not have a loan release agreement in his contract. You know, that's not our fault that his agent is crappy. But I just, you know, if we're just going to have this every single transfer window, you know, even if we get promoted, we might still have this. Because if Farke doesn't rate him now and doesn't play him as much in the Championship, is he going to play him in the Premier League? You know, like, so are we, you know, even if we get promoted, we might still have for the third transfer window in a row, Willie Gnonto rumours. I'd rather just get the cash in because he doesn't really offer that much when he's coming off the bench. He's had a couple of good games where he's looked lively coming off, maybe when he's had like 25, 30 minutes. But he doesn't track back like Summerville or Dan James does. You know, even Anthony tracks back more than Gnonto does, and Anthony's a lone player, so he doesn't have to. You know, if you get what I mean, like
Yeah, no,
he doesn't owe us anything. You know, he's just a lone player. He knows that he's going back to Bournemouth. There's no buy option or anything in there. So, you know, I just think that if we can get money for him and we don't get promoted, at least we've got some money to play with. Whereas if we don't get promoted, haven't sold him, he's got, you know, he'd have 3 years left on his contract, having played very little football this season. We don't have much of a bargaining chip for him. So for me, yeah, he either pulls his finger out and gets playing, you know, and really does something, you know, or, you know, let's try and get him sold and get somebody else in, you know, free up the money that we need for a number 10, a striker, centre back, left back, right back, all the backs. You know, if we can get some money in, then yeah, do it. But I'm just not bothered. I'm over the drama now to do with him. You know, he hasn't offered enough to make him worth it. Say if Summerville had have kicked up a stink in the summer, but then had have done what Summerville has done for us this season, then I would be happy dealing with a little bit of drama. But he hasn't, and Gnonto's not done anything for me to really impress one way or another. At least Dan James and Summerville both track back, whereas Gnonto, just every time he doesn't get a decision, argues with the ref, and it's just like, you're not going to get the decision. It's done. It's not the Premier League. It's not going to be looked at again. So as soon as that referee has made that decision, it's done. It's over. Let it go. Move on. Crack on with the game. You know, and he spends more time arguing and rolling his eyes and, you know, having this gormless look on his face than he actually does playing football. So just play some football. Stop arguing with the ref. Get your head down. And do something, you know, and Farke doesn't like arrogance and you know, selfishness. So that's one of the reasons why I think that he doesn't play him, is because whenever he does come on, he gets involved in an argument.
More of a problem,
you know,
than an help.
yeah,
Is it more of an hindrance than a help, if that makes any sense? Like,
yeah,
for me,
exactly.
when he comes off, you look at Gruev and how he's gone about things, and then you look at Willie Gnonto, and you think when he comes on, he sulks, he's argumentative, he doesn't look like he wants to be at Leeds United. For me, he's a bit of a problem, and you've made that thing with Jed Spence. He was a problem. You sent him back. So I think for me, it's time Willie Gnonto moved on, and we've got somebody in that actually wants to play for Leeds United, because he don't look
Yeah.
arsed half the time. It looks like it's a problem, it's an issue, and it's not. You should be working your bollocks off, to put it blunt, to get yourself in that team, to prove that you want to want that white shirt on, side before self every time. And he does not give me that. I don't know about you, Stu.
The only problem, right? The only Premier League team I know who wants Gnonto is Everton.
We've all seen
What
happened
if
to Everton
he's
today.
as good as what he thinks he is? Why hasn't any other club coming for him? Why, Nottingham Forest? Why isn't it's just Everton? The rumours with West Ham, they aren't strong rumours, but it's out there. I think I'm fearful that we're going to end up being stuck with him, and I'll tell you the reason why. Everton have just been done today for breaching they've been done
FPL.
for FFP or whatever it is. So they've been done today. That means that they won't be able to afford to buy Willie Gnonto. They get a points deduction. They're going to get relegated. Willie Gnonto's not going to go to Everton, knowing that they're going to get relegated and we're going to get promoted. I fear that if we don't, what's the word? Sell him at a cut down price. I mean, like 8 million evie to 8 million to an Italy club. I think we're going to be stuck with him.
He doesn't offer no lot, does he, Stu? He's another
No,
one
he
that
doesn't.
divides
No,
opinions, but
it's
the opinion
petulant.
is
He's a
gone. He is.
petulant
He's a
child.
baby. He's a baby. If it's not got, it's called. I don't get my own way. I'll chuck toys out at pram. Well,
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
Dummies are on supermarket at aisle number 3, mate. Go get one of them and whack it in your mouth, cause get a grip. You play for Leeds. What do you want? You're getting paid a lot of money. £9 a week. I'd get paid £9 a week to run around a pitch and all. You sat on bench, mate. Get it in the bin.
Yep.
Fucking attitude on it. Just to feel like transfer. So Southie's picked up on this with Cine. Now I've read this today that he's not happy with the minutes he's getting at Bournemouth. Do you see him coming back to Leeds?
Oh, my heart bleeds for him. Maybe he shouldn't have threatened Leeds United with suing them. I don't. The part I understand his skill. Like, you can't doubt that he was incredibly talented. But for a winger, he got no assists last season, and I think did he get 5 or 6 goals? And to not have any assists as a winger is it's a crucial part of your game to get assists. And again, that proves to me that those stats alone kind of show that he's selfish, because of the fact that in all those times were there no passes that he could pass to somebody and to get a goal, kind of thing. For them to get a goal. I understand that he does create things. He was brilliant in that in the Cardiff game and in the Ipswich game. He really was brilliant for us this season, but his availability is crap. We know that from last season. He's already been unavailable for half of his kind of loan time at Bournemouth. So if we get him back, who does he replace? Does he replace Dan James? Do we really want to kind of undermine Dan James and the fact that he was loyal to us? He played out of position for an entire season for us, then got loaned out on the last day of the season to Fulham, where he barely got played, and then came back to us, no questions asked, hasn't caused a fuss, absolutely nothing. He'll have had that 50% wage cut as well. He could have gone off to be in another Premier League club, and he didn't. He came and he stayed. Why would we want to replace somebody who has given us so many goals, so many assists this season, but has threatened to sue us and was smiling and laughing with fans whilst he was leaving the training ground on the way down to Bournemouth, knowing full well that he was threatening to sue the club that day? So how do you welcome him back if you're a team member? How do you welcome him back in the changing room when you know that the same guy that you were training with was threatening to sue the club who pays all of your wages, and then went to the Premier League, didn't give a damn about you as individual players, didn't give a damn about the fans or about the team? I just don't get it. Like, for me, that outweighs that outweighs the
Anything that he can
benefits
do.
that he could
Yeah,
offer us,
I agree.
because he unsettles the changing room. He is fit 50% of the time, and he wouldn't get played because Farke doesn't give second chances. Angus Kinnear said he wasn't going to be on the Christmas card list. How do you, as a CEO, welcome somebody back into your club when you've gone on a podcast and that is out for everybody, including the player, to see? How do you welcome them back at the club?
You can't,
I
can you?
just don't think that you can. I don't think it doesn't smack of a genuine welcome. He just can't do it. And I would feel bad for every single one of those players, and especially Dan James, because he has fought to be in that team. He's been denied, Swansea denied him to come to us and sold him to Scum. He then came to us, had to play, without questioning, had to play in a position that he clearly was not good enough to play in, but did it without causing a fuss, went on loan without a fuss, didn't badmouth the club, didn't do anything wrong, and then has come and played for us in the Championship. How can you, not pay that loyalty back by saying F off to Sinistera? Sorry for that rant, but I just feel really passionate about Sinistera.
No, this is
I'm
what it's
just
all
going to
about,
say
isn't
one
it, Stu?
sentence. I'm just going to say one sentence. We're doing fine. We're doing just fine without him. We
Yeah.
are. We're doing
Yep.
just fine without him. Why upset the apple cart? Let him stay where he is. That's what I say.
On your
Let him
bike
stay
for
there.
me, mate. On your
Yeah,
bike. And get rid.
definitely.
Do you know what I mean? You've got a cheat to sit there moaning about how many minutes you're getting played. Well, if you'd have stayed at Leeds, you'd have played every game, and then you pissed off because you thought you were clever on last day. Last day
Yep.
transfer window, and then you think now because you're not getting played that you can come back to Leeds and roll into the team. Don't work like that, mate. Not at all. On your bike. No.
If they brought him back, they'd have to change that side before self
Mm.
slogan they've got on stadium, because it wouldn't be. You know what I mean? And no, I'm in agreement with Evie on this one. I know people are going to say, but it shouldn't matter to us fans. We want, it doesn't affect us, but it does. It does affect us because, right, we're loyal. I think we're one of the loyalist fan bases in world football, if I'm honest.
Mhm.
And to us, loyalty is everything. And Sinistera's showing zero loyalty. In fact, he's showing total opposite to loyalty. I can't think of word easy, but he's just showing total self. He's put himself before anybody, not just side, before
Yep.
anybody, and he can stay where he is. I hope he don't play any minutes anyway. That's That's what I hope. That's what I hope. I hope he rots him on Bournemouth's bench.
Yeah, I can go pop
Yep.
cherries down there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just can't. I know, thinking of it pragmatically, thinking of it incredibly logically, he does offer a lot in terms of skill, like he really does. And he, for me, if he came back, like I've said for quite a while, we have a fantastic starting 11 and maybe a couple of replacement players on the bench, like Gruev, for instance. But we don't have any players, in my opinion, that can grab a game, that can come on and at game changers, like when Pablo used to come on in like the 50th, 60th minute, and he would just grab a game and just say, no, lads, I'm going to drag you over this line. We're going to do this. We don't have any of those players on the bench. So for me, the only positive that Sinistera could offer is he is that type of player. He is a kind of player that can win a match. He's the type of player that can shoot a free kick and, score a wonder goal. But if you're getting rid of Spence for his attitude, you're getting potentially rid of Cresswell for his attitude. What does it say about us, and what does it say, about what we actually think of ourselves as a club if we welcome somebody who was quite blatant with his disregard, taking pictures with kids whilst driving down to Bournemouth? Like, I'm sorry,
I
but
remember that. Yeah.
that is what stays in my mind, is all those kids that were so like, oh, I'm so happy you're staying with us, and this, that, and the other, and then, later, 4 hours later, Sinistera's trying to sue the club. It's like,
Yeah.
how do you welcome it? And we all know that Ellen Road, it can be a very toxic place, and he would not get welcomed back there. Like Willie Nonto hasn't been properly welcomed back there. People haven't booed him for quite a while now, but I just don't think he's been welcomed anymore. Like, we just kind of accept that Nonto's with us. We don't have that love and admiration that we did do last season. And
Yeah, I agree.
Sinistera would be booed. Every time he touched the ball, he would be booed. And then we'd have this whole rigmarole all over again in the summer. He wouldn't want to stay. And you kind of can't blame him for not wanting to stay in a place that he's been booed, but it's all of his own, doing. So yeah, I just can't stand him. The only ones that I really can't stand from this season are him and Tyler Adams. Tyler Adams, don't get me wrong, he was a great player for us. He really made the difference in that midfield. But the fact that he was also going to sue the club, for me as a person, nah, you're not it. If you can go and do that, you're not it. You were out injured half the season, and now he's injured again, and it's just beautiful karma. And we got 23 million from Bournemouth. Thank you very much. But yeah, those are the two that I can't stand from last season. I don't think I'd take any of them back, in all honesty, but those are the ones I really can't stand.
And just think about how much the club were running around the last minutes of that transfer window to find him a club. That could have been spent. That could have been spent finding a player to bring into the club, but instead it was spent finding him a club to get him out of it. You know what I mean? We don't owe Luis Sinistera nothing.
I agree.
And that,
No.
and for me, no. And I'm pretty laid back, Evie. You know what I mean? I'm all for giving people second chances and stuff, but no. I wouldn't enjoy watching Leeds United if he's in that team. I'll tell you, I wouldn't enjoy it. I wouldn't enjoy it one little bit because I know what he did. I can't sit there and support him.
No, you bang on the money. Look, for me, you can stay at Bournemouth and rot and come back, and hopefully somebody comes in for you. But it wouldn't surprise me if we get lumbered with him and all come end of season. It really won't. You've done nothing. You've done nothing out at Bournemouth. So what do you want? Us to get? I tell you what, if you want something, I'll send you the box of Kleenex tissues down at Bournemouth for you if you want. Piss off. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do.
Just before we sign off, and I'm just looking at some fixtures that we've got coming up. So, Preston, Plymouth in FA Cup, Bristol City away, Rotherham at home. How many points do you see us taking out of them 3 championship games, and do you see us winning an FA Cup, Stu?
9 points, and next round into the fifth. Is it fifth round at draw?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I took 9 points. I don't see why not.
Evie?
So which games? The Preston, Norwich, Bristol, and Rotherham.
So what we got?
Or are we just going up to Bristol?
So Norwich should have been Plymouth, shouldn't it? So Plymouth. So we've got Leeds on Leeds Preston on 21st. 27th we've got Plymouth in FA Cup. Bristol City away at 8 o'clock kickoff, and then Rotherham at home 3 o'clock kickoff.
Preston 3 points. I think, because I think we'll have a real point to prove, because obviously we lost in that really terrible game against them. I think Meslier will be on his best behaviour then as well, because wasn't that the game that he got sent off in?
Yeah, it was.
So I think we'll win that one. Norwich, I think that's going to be a really tough game, because they're just starting to they're proper going like that. They'll be good one game, terrible the next, good one game, terrible the next. So
we're looking
we just have to.
Friday, want the Stu, really, Norwich, because
we're
all over them, and they just got 2 lucky goals. They really what. I hope we win that one.
Yeah, I really wanted Hull to get a draw that game. Just because it was really exciting. Obviously, a lot of the Hull people were walking out. Then they got the goal back, and there was loads of them kind of walking back in to try and watch the last few minutes. So Norwich, I think that's a really tough game. I'm gonna say a draw for that game, because I just think it's really tough.
That's fair enough.
Bristol, I think we win. As long as Bamford's fit. so that we can play him up front, because it's an away game. They'll play in a low block. They're not in great form at the minute. And then Rotherham, I think we'll beat Rotherham as well. So out of those, like the league games, I think 3, 4, 7, 10 points out of 13. No, out of 12, sorry. Plymouth, I think we'll beat in the FA Cup. Yeah, I'm going for we'll beat Plymouth in the FA Cup as well.
I'm going to go 3 points Preston, a win in FA Cup, a draw at Bristol City, 3 points against Rotherham. Norwich, I'm going to go 3 as well. I'm going to go 10 points. And a nice cup run, because I don't see an issue with a cup run. Do any of you guys? I'd like to see us get through. I really would.
I think because we stayed in it, and we, because we've got through to the next round, I would like us to go on a cup run. Had we have gone out, I wouldn't have been, I wasn't going to be devastated if we'd have gone out of the cup, but I would quite like to see it. And I do think that if we can see a few more fringe players in the cup games, it gives them more opportunity to shine and potentially then play in the league as well. So I think the fringe players more than anybody need a cup run, because obviously because we went out so early in the Carabao Cup, it limited the amount of minutes that anybody else can get. So I think as well, I think it depends if we get anybody in. I think we'll get people in. Like, a lot of people are very nervous, but we've still got 16 days left of the transfer window, so we've still got more days ahead of us than have passed. So I do think, and I said it the other day, we've got to remember we're a championship team now, and unfortunately we don't have the upper hand this time around. We do have to play by the Premier League rules, in terms of they have to get their ducks in a row before we can start pinching the players. So I think the last week is going to be incredibly busy, and it's going to be so nerve-wracking, so nerve-wracking. But I don't think the 49ers will let us down.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. I agree. I think we will.
I've gone bold there.
I think we will. I think we will sign somebody, though. Definitely, I really do. The Rodon news come out of blue, didn't it, from 49ers? I think they like to do the business behind closed doors, out at spotlight, and I do think they'll be working on stuff as we speak.
Yeah, I think that last week's going to be a really interesting week for Leeds United regarding a few outgoings and definitely incomings. We've got 3 loan spaces, so it's there to be filled. I think he's very picky and choosy who he brings in, Daniel Farker, to be honest with you. He won't come in unless he's the right player for Leeds. Won't have any of this, what we've had in previous years. You've got teams round us that are just Southampton, they're just flying out. We just need to hope they drop.
Have they gone too soon?
Somebody else said that, have they peaked too soon? I'm sure we were in one of your watch-alongs, Stu, and somebody said that have they peaked too soon. It was Danny, yeah. Have they peaked too soon?
I think they have, because I think that because that team have got so used to not losing, I think a loss will really affect them. And I think it only takes that one unforeseen loss to completely derail, because they were crap at the beginning of the season. They were getting lucky wins, lucky draws, and then obviously they got back-to-back losses until welcome Leeds United, and we gave them the start of that undefeated run, but they haven't lost for such a long time. I don't think they know how to lose and necessarily come back for it, because we saw that earlier on in the season when they lost 4, on the trot. and we're right there behind them. You know, a couple of losses and us a couple of wins, and we've got some good home games and some
Yeah.
good away games. You know, we've got easier away games than we've played already. You know, we've done Leicester, Ipswich, Southampton, Hull, West. You know, I know we've done West Brom both now, but you know, we've done all of the hard, really hard away games, Sunderland, you know, but Cardiff, you know, we've got our better away games coming up, and I think that I really think that we can make a run for it, and I think that Southampton's run may have come too early, and they may be having a bit of a, you know, a bit like Preston earlier on in the season, where they, you know, I think they were up in third, and now they're
Yeah.
nowhere, you know, to be seen near the top three. So, you know, maybe Southampton will get derailed by one random loss, and that could be where we have to take our opportunities and win. You know, we never seem to win those games. It's infuriating. So yeah, that's and I think that's where it comes to getting rid of the attitude problem, people,
Yeah.
of, you know,
Yeah.
we need that positive mentality of, right, lads, we can do this. Let's not F it up. You know, there's the opportunity here for us to make up ground that we lost earlier on in the season. So let's do it, kind of thing.
Have
I
we?
agree.
Do you think we've peaked yet, Leeds?
No.
I don't think we have. Stu?
No, we haven't. We haven't. We've
I think
just
we
been
peaked now.
getting. We've
Bamford
been
stopped.
doing. We've been doing just enough to win the game. Well, I say just enough to win the games, but what I mean by that is we've been businesslike at the moment. We're getting the wins and then we're moving on to the next one, sort of thing. But yeah, I think fun times are still to come. I really do.
So
Fun
do I.
times are still to come with Leeds. I do.
I think our peak starts on the 23rd of February, because that's when we play Leicester at home. And that's when I think our peak will start. I think we will, because we've got some really good home games after that. You know, we've got Huddersfield away, which won't be easy, but they're terrible. We've got Stoke at home. We've got Sheffield Wednesday away. We've got Millwall at home. You know, Watford, they're again up and down. We've got Hull at home. You know, like, so we've got some really good home games where I just think that if we catch Leicester, I think that's our turning point of the season. You know, in the home stretch, playing them at home, we've beaten them away from home. I think that's when we see our turning point of the season. And that's when, because as well, if we do get any new signings, fingers crossed, they'll have had 3 weeks with us by that point. So, you know, they'll understand a lot more. And I think that's when we really start to see what we're made of, and to see whether we can get that top two.
I think we made top two by the skin of his teeth. Because I think with
I don't want
Bamford
to
back
say
in
it.
team, it offers something different, Stu. If it had been, I've really got this thing that he's going to go on a really good goal scoring run. And I think he's going to be the difference. And if we can strengthen defensively, at the minute, that's my biggest priority. We bring fullbacks in. If we get that, I think we're ready to rock and roll. Leicester have proved that they're beatable this season. You've seen it. They've lost at weekend. It's all about keeping the faith, concentrating on our business, and thinking, do you know what? We've still got it in the tank to do it. I don't know about you, Stu. That's just my opinion.
I agree. Look, I don't want to say it. I think if you're a betting man at this moment in time, you're gonna see it in playoffs. But anything can happen in second half of the season, and I'm looking
It's a
forward to it.
funny old game. It's a funny old game. It's football, isn't
Who
it?
says that? Who said that? It's a funny old game. Really Jeff Street. Who
No,
used to say? Who said it?
I thought it was not
It's a
Forest
funny old
manager. I
game.
can't think of it. 1 minute. Just on a side
He
note.
wasn't that. He wasn't Cluffy, was it?
I thought it was Clough. That's what. Yeah, Clough. You bang on.
It was Greavesy. It was
Greavesy, that's
Greavesy.
There you go. The football is a funny old game. And on that note, I think we'll wrap it up, guys. But
One
yeah,
thing I will just quickly say
go on.
is, think that the season might, like the footballing gods might have it that Southampton at Elland Road on the last day of the season might be the decider between who goes up in second spot. I really, really think that has it's just written in the stars that that's the game that potentially could decide everything.
Right.
I might pull a sticky on that watch you
Stu, right. We'll have this conversation now on air, right? Leeds, where do they finish this season? And I'll write it down and we'll see who's right at end of season.
At this moment in time, I'm going to say third.
Third, right. So you're saying playoffs, yeah? Third playoffs. Evie?
Second.
Second.
Go on, Evie. I like that. I love that.
I like it. And do you know what? I'm going to roll the dice with her and I'm going to say second. So in a few months' time, we'll see who's got the scores on the doors, Miss Ford.
Yeah, I hope I'm wrong. I really do. I hope I'm so wrong.
Because that splinter
Can I put a caveat on mine that's saying we'll go up second and it will be decided by that Southampton game?
Yeah.
As
absolutely.
well.
You're going to go for bonus points, Evie.
Yeah, I'm going for bonus points. If I'm doing it, I'm going to do it.
We're going all in here. We're going Southampton game. And you know what it'll be,
Imagine
don't
if
you?
it does go down to that final game. Oh, God.
Oh, I'm dreading
My
that.
nerves
Ellen
will be
Road
shot.
will be rocking. Ellen Road will be absolutely rocking.
It's what we've all
I'm feeling nervous already, and it's not. We're only halfway through bloody season, but I'm already nervous.
Well, I've got a. Bandy's saying. What's Bandy saying? So Bandy will be very optimistic. Bandy says first.
Bandy
Reenie's
thinks
gone
he's going to win it. He
second.
does.
Danny's gone third. Adam Link's gone second. Stripper's gone second. Leeds Angels is saying third. So, yeah, that's going to be an interesting one as we roll on with season. Anna's saying third, I think they third. They're loving Bandy. I love Bandy's optimism. I really do love Bandy's optimism. I hope we get first, but it's going to be a massive call, is that? That is going to be a massive call. But
Can you
yeah,
imagine
guys,
atmosphere, though, if it did come down to that game? Can you just imagine it?
no, Stu.
Who took the penalty if we got awarded a penalty 90th minute?
Oh, can you imagine? Their balls must be jangling. I tell you, if that happened. Put it in a nice way.
Who do you go with? Who do you go with at this moment in time? Who would you
I'd give it
trust
to
taking the
Pascal
penalty?
Strout, somebody just to whack it straight through. None of these fanny taps, just blast it. Believe.
I'd still go
Yeah.
Summerville. I think it would unlucky with that penalty. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like it would have. It hit the bar, didn't it? It hit the bar.
What's this saying?
To be honest, I'd go Pirro if it was a penalty and he was on the pitch. I'd go Pirro because I just think that we just need a bit of coolness. Just God. Right, we have to stop talking about this. I'm genuinely anxious now.
We like to have a bit of a good chat on here. But yeah, guys, so we're going to wrap this one up now. But it's been an absolute pleasure being with you all tonight. And thank you to everybody that's been in chat with us all, because we couldn't do it without you. And thank you for supporting me so much like you do. But a big up to my main man here, Stu, because if it weren't for him, I wouldn't be sat here now. And Evie as well. But Stu helps me a massive amount, and he won't ever know how much I appreciate what he does for me, my channel, my family. So, big up to you, Stu. And check this guy out at Disabled Team, because he's an absolute legend, is this guy. And Evie as well down at bottom. Her football knowledge is A1. You won't find
This is
another
my
bird
favourite
like
show.
it. Really?
This is my favourite show. Yeah,
That's really nice
with
to hear.
Evie on, 100%.
She knows her stuff, and you know what? I like her on here because she gets a voice, and I like to give women a voice. And if there's any women out there that'd like to join us, you're more than welcome to come on with us. But yeah, check Evie out at Discourse of Peacocks as well. Her channel will be coming soon, won't it, Evie?
It will.
Good.
So, it's just wait and see, but she will be about very, very soon. So check her out. Subscribe to her channel if you're new. Check this girl out. Same with Stu. Check him out at Disabled Team. And same for me. Check me out. Subscribe if you like what we're doing. Smash a like on video. Get your comments in below. We'll try to get back to each and every one of you. But thank you very much, guys, for coming on with me tonight, because it's couldn't do it without you. Especially you, Evie.
Oh, Danny.
Couldn't do it. Oh.
I love you, Danny. Love you.
She loves you now. That's it now. You see something we agree on, but yeah, absolutely. You know what? Yeah, thanks, guys. So we're gonna wrap this one up now. But like I say, check us each, every one of us out. Thank you to Peria, and we'll see you all soon. Cheers, guys. Bye bye.